Hello Tarot fans, and welcome to another edition of Blue Sicx Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Blue Sicx. Thank you very much for watching. Now, it has been a while since my last video, and motivation for making videos has been a bit lacking. However, I've want to kind of get back into the game, as it were. I've also started a new TikTok channel, so link in the description if you want to follow TikTok on there. And but my fumbling words aside, let's roll on to the intro. Today we'll be looking at the Nicoletta Ceccoli Tarot. I may have mispronounced that. I do apologise if I have. Brought to you by the Scarabeo, my kind of wife, I guess. Well, they've ignored all my proposals so far, but I can, keep applying. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the box itself. So as you can see, it has that kind of big head, large eye style of artwork, which is really cool. Kind of nice pastel colours. So you've got a salamander at the front here, so that's probably one of the ones. Got the go on a stack of cards here. On the back, I do quite like this one. I think it's pretty cool. Back there, and then I'm on what looks like a cake, and I think it's more of a mountain. So that's the box itself. It does kind of stand out a bit because of the kind of pastel style of the colours rather than anything being big and bold. So once again, this thing does kind of stand out amongst some of your other collections. That's if you keep your collections at the front, of course. Take a look at the cards now. So first of all, the background's quite nice. It's kind of like small red berries, and it's one of those symmetrical both directions back, which I always quite like, because I never really like decks that tend to have the where you can tell if they're upside down. That does kind of bug me. If you are a person who does inverted readings, I personally don't, but I've never liked it when you can actually tell it's upside down. That does kind of bug me. As for the card field themselves, they're quite smooth, and so once again, another easy to shuffle. If you are familiar with the Scarabeo, the card stock is pretty similar. So if you're used to those, you'll be perfectly fine with these. So now we take a look at some of the majors. So first we take a look at the Fool. So this Fool is a toy, a little toy clown with little wheels. I like that, and it's kind of a drummer as well. So instead of just being a person walking around with a bindle, they're like a little toy drummer, which I think is pretty cool. And I like the fact that the drum is part of their dress with the wheels, so it still has that clown sort of the feel to it. Because a lot of the time when we come across the Fool, they come across as a clown in some circumstances, which I do like. Having a circus background, some of you have seen some other videos will know. Yeah, I do like the aesthetic with that. I would have that as a little figurine or model. That would be pretty cool. So next we have the High Priestess. So this was on the side of the box. Looking at that, it would look like it's more referencing the Tower, but obviously it is not. This High Priestess has a kind of feel of sadness about her outside, instead of like the normal feel you get with her. I like the fact that her crown is hovering above her head rather than resting upon it. But yeah, so you do have like a positive and negative, the B and the J. So you still have the black tree on one side and a white tree on the other, representing the columns. But there does seem a little kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, melancholy with this one. But then that's also kind of indicative of the art style that we have. So next we have the Chariot. No, we have Justice. My apologies. No, the Hanged Man. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've even held a deck. So we're looking at the Hanged Man. I think it's cool that they're like on a trapeze. The fact that they have two heads is interesting, and wings. I do like the little fluff in the middle as part of their skirt. That looks quite nice. So this does have a kind of circus feel similar to the Fall, but I do like the kind of trapeze sort of thing they've got going on there. So next we have Death. I like the Snow White reference. That's quite cool. And the fact you've got what look like garden gnomes. Nice little reference to the poisoned apple. The black hair with the white dress does kind of stick out a bit, and it does feel quite bold. The fact they're in the snow looks quite nice, and it just has a... I hesitate to say a good feeling, but you kind of get the feeling that they're aiming for. And last we have the World, which is a nice little snow globe, and with a little house in the back there. I think it's really lovely. But then it does have that feeling of kind of like being trapped, I guess. But because it does feel like a very small world. But it's, once again, it's still kind of on brand with the idea that some of these are toys. So that does kind of work for me. Although, as I said, it does look very lovely. It looks like something you would have out during Christmas. But yeah, really, I love the very kind of strawberry milkshake kind of shading to the pink. I do think this one looks quite nice. Okay, so next we have the Aces. So first of all, we have the Ace of Cups, which I think is once again quite nice. Whether these in her hand are supposed to be children or dolls, I would probably say dolls, but it has that kind of implication of the kind of still meeting new loves, interests, and kind of emotional connections. So that does have that kind of feeling, but still has that kind of melancholy about it. But next we have the Ace of Coins. Though I don't feel that this is necessarily typically a coin sort of card. I do like the idea that the birds are coming out of her dress. That looks pretty cool. And also the idea of the dress being kind of gold, I think looks quite nice. So it's not necessarily indicative of the feeling of what you usually get with the coins, but there is that kind of colour of gold for wealth. So I still think that's quite nice. Then we have the Ace of the Ace of Wands, which was the one we saw on the cover with the salamander. This more invokes vulnerability rather than like inspiration, with the feeling of this. But as I said, this seems to be more the feeling and theme of the deck. And last we have the Ace of Swords. This is kind of like something you'd have at a kid's style of nightmare, with the very unhappy looking lollipop looking like it's bleeding, and like the stains on the dress. So there's an adorable darkness to this. I've got to say, it has a kind of Tim Burton kind of feel to it personally. But these cards do kind of have a very kind of strong feeling to them, with the kind of juxtaposition of sweet, innocent looking children and kind of darker kind of feelings and undertones. Now we're going to look at some of the minors. So first we're going to start with the Five of Cups. I think this one's quite nice, considering how the 5 tends to look in regards to the sort of theme it goes for. This one's quite cool in its art style, where she's got the bird wings on her back, and at the bottom, whilst this other person just has the head of a bird and a human body, I think looks quite nice. And obviously some of this you could probably have as posters and portraits and stuff like that. Now this is definitely something that would look great on someone's wall. Next we have the Seven of Cups, Seven of Coins. I love this. This is very hard to pick for some of these. I like the spider theme with her multiple legs, and the fact that she has a spider web ruff. I don't know if you can see it too well. I'll bring it up closer. But the fact she's got a spider web ruff around her neck, I think is really cool. And that I said that the multiple legs looks really good. It makes me think of a song by Alice Cooper, Along Came a Spider. I do recommend that. It's a good song. But yeah, it has this kind of not quite nightmarish, but still kind of something you would only really see in like the weirdest of dreams. Next we have the Two of Wands. I mean, to be fair, in this deck it would probably just be referred to as clubs, as they are signified there. So usually the Two of Wands is representative of like a branching path. Well, this seems to have two different branches moving back into each other. So rather than two different paths splitting, it feels more like a convergence of two paths working together. So it's kind of one of those similar but different sort of methods to it. But I do like the fact they're kind of I guess they're more snakes. I'm not quite sure if they're supposed to be snakes or mermaids, but I'd probably say more snakes by the length of their tails. So last we have the Nine of Swords. Once again, kind of like a cute yet creepy sort of feel to it. Once again, it does lean on the theme of the Nine of Swords of being like nightmares or stuff like that, like sleep, lack of sleep, anxiety, that sort of thing. And so I love how it's just like a standard bunny rabbit toy, but because it's so big, that's what makes it frightening. And you've got the two girls hiding in the corner. And to be fair, if I was to have that dream now, I would be kind of creeped out by that. It is kind of, once again, cute, but kind of macabre. Just in the fact of the feel. You know, if you were to have a dream being chased by a giant blue bunny rabbit, it would be terrifying. There is no doubt about that one. Clarify, I have nothing against any bunny rabbit of any colour. Now we take a look at the court cards. So we start off with the Page of Wands. Now these courts were very difficult to try and boil down to just one of each. These were also quite tricky. The artwork on this deck is amazing, so I do these are a definite recommend for a collector's. But yes, kind of like a Lolita style art thing here, with the idea that their dress is entirely made out of leaves. This artwork looks more photographic rather than illustrated, but that's just more down to the skill of the artist. But once again, this is a really cool sort of piece here. I don't know if I'd consider this representative of the Page of Wands overall, but it's still a pretty cool and funky card. Next we have the Knight of Swords. Now, I love the fact that they're on a paper bird. I think that looks really cool. In fact, they've got like a candy cane as their sword, is quite nice. And like you've got flying dice and a spinning top, I think, with legs. Got the cast in the back distance there, but yeah, this does have that. This does have like the Knight of Swords feel with it. Full on ahead, full energy, all in, all or nothing, do or die sort of mentality. And the fact that it's like a child on it as well, and is a very kind of childlike thing in the idea of just putting all your eggs in one basket and just going. And I do quite like that one. Next we have the Queen of Coins, which is once again more of an a melting ice cream. The ice cream looks kind of upset that it's melting or being consumed. I always find the creepiness where you have sentient food that does not want to be eaten. Very, not quite Douglas Adams, but it does have that kind of dread to it, I guess. I also like the fact that she's surrounded by candy cane coloured rope, I think. And her hair curls are quite nice as well, and with a little hair clip there. But yeah, this doesn't necessarily invoke the standard Queen of Coins in its traditional way, I guess, but it does have a kind of wealth to it in the fact that she's surrounded, she's surrounded by candy canes, that she's got like a double scoop ice cream that she can afford to let melt. But as I said, not necessarily traditional feel, but you can see it if you look for it, I guess. And last, we take a look at the King of Cups. So the King of Cups being usually sitting on a throne on water. The fact is, her dress is the water. So I always like it when they do things like that. And it also has that feeling of like a kid's imagination, where she's just standing there with a really long dress, but imagining the dress is the ocean, and there's a sea serpent and a man on a ship and another sea serpent. There does feel like there's a lot of childlike imagination and wonder in this, kind of like an Alice in Wonderland, but not Alice in Wonderland. It does have that nice childlike innocence and imagination in this. But yeah, I definitely recommend this deck for collectors. Maybe not necessarily people who are new to tarot, but these are very nice, and I definitely recommend. So thanks all for watching. Links to all my social medias down in the description, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.